want to cut the time down a little.
What is this with everybody?
No.
What is it? Really?
only me. It's
Why?
my fault.
I'm serious. F***ing A, man. It drives me nuts. Who gives a shit how long a scene is?
What's up, dude?
How you doing?
Not bad.
You
not
got a
bad.
flurry of movie merch going on here.
Yeah, I do. I got my Shark is Broken hoodie from the Broadway show, and I got my Movies hat, and plethora of shit in the office, but you guys knew that already. But yeah, dude, it's another week.
Another week.
Another time to discuss things.
Oh yes.
I'm very much so looking forward to our intermission discussion, because what we started doing now is whenever we briefly start talking about stuff that would be interesting for the show, I'm like, stop. We'll save it.
Halt.
Yeah, we'll save it for the show. But yeah, with that said, though, we have a hell of a show for you guys.
Absolutely.
We're going to kick things off first with the movie news section of our show, and then we're going to go into our main topic, and then we're going to do the B-roll section of our show, which is kind of an extension of the movie news, which you'll see, and then we'll get to the box office at the very end. So it'll be a lot of fun. I promise. That sounded fucking ridiculous. I promise you'll like our podcast if you just please subscribe and watch it. I can't wait to dive into things. And speaking of diving in, let's dive into the first movie news topic that we have. Nicholas, what you got for us first?
Yes, our first story comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter. Gerard Butler. We know Gerard Butler.
Yes, we do.
We love Gerard Butler.
Well, I love Gerard.
I
Butler.
love Gerard.
Okay,
Butler.
we love
Gerard Butler.
Okay.
Gerard Butler has resolved a legal fight over allegations that he is owed at least $10 million in profit from the 2013 blockbuster Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah, so this was something that we kind of missed last week, and it's about when this story kind of dropped, that I thought was really interesting, and I wanted to share it with you guys because with the actor strike still ongoing, which, by the way, on the day that you're watching this, they're meeting again today. And
just our luck.
And I swear, if they come to a deal today, you're going to see a Zoom portion of this show happen
Wednesday.
Yeah, or
Thursday.
After this posts.
Yes.
Because our luck, that would happen.
At some point.
But with the strikes and stuff going on, I wanted to point out stories of like different ways that studios can kind of screw people out of money that they've made through various deals. And I wanted to bring this story to light. So I'm going to now read from the Hollywood Reporter article. Gerard Butler's $10 million Olympus Has Fallen profits lawsuit settles. Gerard Butler has resolved a legal fight over allegations that he's owed at least $10 million in profits from the 2013 blockbuster Olympus Has Fallen. Butler and his production company, G-Base Entertainment, in 2021 sued Los Angeles Superior Court, alleging some producers have earned tens of millions of dollars from the film but have refused to pay him for his share of profits. He pointed to a comprehensive, premeditated scheme designed to grossly misrepresent the finances of the film. I believe the companies he sued were New Image and Millennium Media, according to THR.
Do you think G-Base is his nickname?
It can be. I think we can start that.
Yeah.
G-Base?
G-Base.
All right. Whenever I see his name, I will now refer to him as G-Base.
All right.
Thank you. Under his deal to star and produce the movie, Butler is owed box office bonuses, a 6% domestic revenue, and 2% of the foreign revenue, and 10% of the net profits. God damn, what a deal. What a deal, G-Base. According to the complaint, an audit revealed that New Image and Millennium Media understated their receipts and profits from Olympus Has Fallen by over $11 million. This included failing to report that roughly $8 million in payments to their senior executives, among other alleged misrepresentations, were understanding domestic revenue by over $17.5 million and deducting residuals that were never paid, which may have had implications for the crew's healthcare eligibility, the lawsuit said. G-Base argued that distribution agreements were fraudulently structured so that distributors didn't have to report all the gross receipts. Producers instructed those distributors to deduct certain amounts from the grosses they would not report to producers, said the complaint. Producers, in turn, did not include these deduction amounts in the financial information provided to G-Base. So, fucked up. And basically, this kind of shit happens all the time. I think Tom Hanks infamously once said, if you ask the studio, Forrest Gump didn't make any money, which is a ridiculous thing. Made so much money.
Yeah.
And it's just these little maneuvers that there are no protections for. And he was a producer of the film, too, so even as a producer of the film. And this isn't even, it's a studio issue, but it's also the production company issue. Like, it's just people trying to screw other people out of money. And this happens all the time. It's one of the reasons why both actors and the writers were fighting for streaming revenue to get released, because they want to be able to see that. Of course, with the writers, they have to sign NDAs when they look at the data, of course, which
Naturally.
I think a similar thing will happen with the Actors Guild. But I just found this fascinating. I thought it was an interesting way to look at how companies can screw over the people who make these things possible. Like, this movie doesn't happen without Gerard Butler.
No.
It definitely doesn't make nearly enough money. Gerard
Two
Butler,
sequels.
yes, Gerard Butler has a built-in special audience that's just like, I'm gonna go watch your thing. I love it. As long as you keep the budgets down, they'll be fine.
I think you could watch a trailer and you could just show Gerard Butler in the last frame, and all of a sudden it would be like,
Huh. I'm interested in that
Alright.
now. Yeah. Yeah.
it's a great time to shout out Plane, which was a great movie that came out this year.
Listen, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It was fun.
You didn't believe me when I saw it. I
didn't.
said, dude, you got to see Plane.
And I was alone in that theater. And I enjoyed it.
It's quite a fun movie.
I can't wait for ship. Is it boat or ship?
I think it's Ship
Ship.
with
Cannot
Mike
wait.
Coulter back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope we get a Gerard Butler cameo.
I never saw Den of Thieves.
I think I did.
Okay.
I don't remember.
They blend sometimes. But what are your thoughts on this? And are you hoping that the actors and maybe even other deals on the line with IATSE, hopefully, can implement some protections to things like this? Or, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that creative accounting has been a thing for so long to hide profits, to cover up for failing movies. But I think that there needs to be protections in place for the actors,
Right.
or in this case, what Gerard Butler's owed as a producer and his acting deal, that should all come out before you start distributing that money to other pictures in your repertoire
Correct.
that didn't make money.
Yeah.
Is this similar at all to like the stuff that happened with like Gal Gadot and Scarlett Johansson with their movies going to streaming, or is it kind of a different?
It's kind of a different thing.
Okay.
Basically, he had a certain deal, and they lied on how much the film made
Okay.
to pass along so that they wouldn't be paid out. But then they took the money that was missing and paid themselves. And so it's kind of just like, that's why he's suing, to get the money. It'd be one thing if he was suing just saying like, I'm owed this, and it's like, well, the film didn't make this.
Yeah.
They had proof that the film made a certain amount, and with that certain amount should have been paid this, and it was not paid this. Why was I not paid this? And that's what the investigation kind of led to.
Okay.
And so they did settle. It doesn't say for how much, but the lawsuit was for 10. I imagine it's around there.
Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to stuff like this, if it comes to light and when it comes to light, because as we've seen lately, transparency is becoming a much more bigger thing with this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's just going to end up costing them a lot more than what it was just to pay it off.
Yeah, most likely. And it's it's a ridiculous circle that you see over and over again. So, yeah.
But, I mean, clearly it gives them also, the studios, time to figure it out. I don't know who the studio is with, Millennium Media.
Yeah.
Needs to find $10 million for a movie that came out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
With inflation and everything, that's a significantly different amount of money than it was back then.
Yes.
So it's just costing them more anyway. They just had 10 years to pay it off.
Yeah.
It's just a stupid cycle
Yeah.
that needs to be cut out.
I agree completely. What do you guys think about this bullshit that they did to G-Base? Let us know in the comments below as we move on to our
What's your favorite Gerard Butler movie?
Yes, what is your favorite Gerard Butler movie, and why is it 300? All right, next we're moving on
No,
to...
I've never seen it.
I have the 4K. We've saved cinema
All right,
today.
let's put an intermission up, and we'll come back in 3 hours after we've watched it.
After we've watched
Yeah.
300.
Oh, man.
What do you have for our next story, Nicholas?
Our next story comes to us from Deadline. Deadpool 3 has officially moved off of its release date as the actor strike shakes up the 2024 theatrical schedule.
Yes, so coming from Deadline, since the studios are not refusing to make a deal with the actors, Deadpool 3 has officially come off of its release date.
Yes.
At least that's what it seems from Deadline. I'm now going to read from the article directly. In one of the first major blows to the 2024 theatrical release window due to the ongoing actor strike, sources tell us that Marvel Studios' Deadpool 3 won't be making its May 3rd start of summer theatrical release date, even if the strike ends in the next few weeks. A 2024 restart of the half-finished Deadpool 3 would not get the Ryan Reynolds Hugh Jackman threequel to a May opening date. There's just too much to do in regards to reassembling the crew, etc. Note, this is just the beginning for 2024 titles. Other studios have yet to play the game of the three-card Monty with their most notable films that are in positions similar to Deadpool 3. What happens at the start of the summer now? This is a long shot, but some sources are telling us that Captain America Brave New World, which was originally for May 3rd and then was pushed to July, may actually push back to May since it's in better shape, since it finished production. So we actually had a question about that last week.
Yeah.
Captain America 4 did wrap filming. Disney typically holds on to highly coveted release dates. Therefore, if Deadpool 3 doesn't go back to July, there are other options like early November, which has been rich for Marvel with the Black Panther releases and Thor Ragnarok, or December 20th, which is where Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts is dated, and Deadline first reported Marvel had paused the production of Thunderbolts back in May. So, Thunderbolts did start, did not finish.
No.
So, if Captain America takes its place in May, then Deadpool may go in that Thunderbolt spot. It's kind of just shuffling release dates, because as the article says, they don't give up release dates.
No.
If they have that release date, they're just going to put something else there. That's how they operate, which is smart to operate in that way.
I mean, well, it's a good release date, but also I feel like I wouldn't put it above Marvel to put in an unfinished movie.
We've seen it before. But with that being said, we now have this news coming out last week of the Secret Invasion problem and the Daredevil Born Again problem,
Yes.
of them being like, this shit ends now. So, my question to you, do you think they'll put Captain America in that May 3rd date, or do you think they'll keep its July date and then move Deadpool to November? Will they put Deadpool in July and move Captain America to November? What are your thoughts on this, and are you surprised that the film was delayed?
I'm definitely not surprised that it was delayed. I think that looking at their upcoming slate, that Deadpool 3 is one that they really need to be a hit.
Right.
With audiences and everything coming off of. Now it's a Marvel-owned property. It's Marvel making the movie. And you're bringing back Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, which I think a lot of people were already excited, but also very hesitant on because they felt that Logan really wrapped everything up nicely.
Yeah,
That's
agreed.
not to say that Logan's ending still won't be canonical.
Yeah.
Just the concept of such a good closing to the character.
Mhm.
And I think with the quality that Marvel's been putting out, as we discussed on the last show, with all these writers' shakeups, it might be great to just sort of push the release dates and make sure you're putting out a good product. That being said, the more dates that get pushed, the farther away we get from sort of wrapping things up with like Kang Dynasty as well as Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
And making sure that momentum, that fatigue does not set in with what they've been putting out.
Mhm.
And by the time we get to that, people not caring.
Yeah.
That being said, I really don't know what they're going to do here. I mean, if Captain America's in a good spot, I think a July release date's a great time for a Captain America movie. Right around like 4th of July, patriotism's at a high.
Yeah.
I think
true.
that a Captain America movie in July is a great idea.
Yeah.
And it really does come down to what is their schedule going forward. Can they afford to push everything back a date and keep that, push Thunderbolts to the following April or May or something?
Yeah.
But it's also, I know Marvel has these spots, but really they are Disney-owned spots. So are we going to see something that was maybe a Disney Plus animated movie going to be put on the big screen instead?
Okay.
Are we going to see something, okay, Frozen 3's done. Can we just chalk that up to there? I don't know what. I don't think it's done. That was just a hypothetical.
yeah.
Do they have something that's close to being done that they'd be like, oh, we could just put that there and swap them?
Basically, we have the spot. Let's go through our catalog and see what can go up.
Yeah,
there.
what's done that's just sitting on the shelf waiting for its release date and doesn't make sense with what else is coming out to do that, because there could be some good counter programming, especially as we're coming into the beginning of the year, May and everything.
Yeah.
So
And I think the Deadpool 3 conversation, the reason why it's so fascinating is because I've heard from multiple different outlets that this is a top priority for Disney and Marvel.
Yeah.
Is this film. And there's a lot of rumors that it's going to tie directly into the next Avengers film. And so I think this is a film that they definitely want to take their time with and not rush, which is why they're quick to push this movie back farther than other films.
yes.
And I think Marvel used to know every time that they had a film, they had a winner on their hands. It's not that much so anymore. I think they really feel like they have a winner on their hands.
Yeah.
So-
Feige thought they were cooking with Quantumania, so we'll see.
Hey, listen, it happens,
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Again, too big to fail.
Hey, people ask me all the time, what's my favorite film I've made? Whichever one I'm currently promoting.
Yep.
That's the answer.
That's also fair.
Yes. And with that down, we're now going to move on to the main topic that we had today, which is on the subject of intermissions, specifically intermissions at the movie theater. And what kind of sparked this discussion is we were talking about Killers of the Flower Moon, which you can now see our review up on the channel and our Out of the Theater reaction if you would like to see that. We both love the film, but it is a long film. And we were kind of looking at box office projections and speaking about it and just thinking like, what could get, especially post-pandemic era, what do we think could get people to kind of go back out to long, like really long films? Like what could, because oftentimes you'll see studio mandates of a certain length. It has to be a certain length or we won't take it. And one of the people who made this film being Apple, I think their long-term thinking is even if it doesn't make a lot of money, it's going onto our streaming service, you know, and Paramount helping as well. So the solution that we were kind of talking about is like, well, what if they brought intermissions back? What if they released a 3.5-hour movie like Killers of the Flower Moon and there was a 10, 15-minute intermission in the middle? And would that be a good idea? Would audiences respond to that? Like if someone who only's trepidation of seeing Killers of the Flower Moon was the movie's too fucking long, what if you followed up with, oh, but there's an intermission? Would that make them go, oh, I'll go see it now? Or would it do nothing? That's kind of the idea of the discussion. I don't really know Nick's full side because we stopped discussing it quickly so we could talk about it on the show. Yeah. And we may have the same opinion, but I still think it makes for good content, so whatever. I'm of the mind, I think intermissions would help significantly.
Okay.
But you'd have to really promote that the film has an intermission. And I think you could even make like a big like blockbuster film. I mean, Zack Snyder's Justice League was a 4-hour movie, but it was a streaming release with some limited charity theatrical screenings, and those did have an intermission. And I think that you could make a huge event film. Like Avengers Secret Wars could be 5 hours with an intermission, and I think people would go. Now, are you sacrificing a shit ton of show times because of that? But having that be advertised, and even not blockbuster movies, like a movie like Killers of the Flower Moon, movies like Oppenheimer, I think, and you could even have a 2.5-hour movie that has an intermission if you wanted to. I think it just depends on preference. And where my thing comes into place, though, you would have to make the movie knowing it's going to have one. Because if you just take a movie that's finished and try to place an intermission into it, if it's placed at the wrong time, it's going to rub your audience the wrong way. Because what you're giving is not just a 10 to 15 minute, bathroom break food. It's an opportunity to fucking leave.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do to make sure people come back into that second part? And you would have to make, it's kind of like back in in broadcast television sitcom days, where you would write into scripts when commercial breaks would happen. And you would shoot and edit them for when commercial breaks would happen, where that fade out would happen and then the fade in, and they almost repeat what they said before they went to commercials in case you were tuning in the first time.
Yeah.
I feel like there would have to be some version of that in order to do it. But then that conversation becomes, is that worth doing? Is it worth building a movie to an intermission moment? Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can put an intermission at any point in the movie and it wouldn't bother some people. I thought about this all night. So my thought is, I think if you made a movie and you realized at some point in the scripting phase or the shooting phase, like, oh, this is going to be a big bitch, we need to work an intermission into this. Where is the best place for it? Or should we switch something up so that when we get to our intermission, it's something that will bring the audience back in the theater? Like imagine if instead of Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse being 2 films, it was 1 film and the intermission happened where that cliffhanger happened. People would come back in that fucking theater after that. You know what I mean? So I am pro intermission as long as I think the intermission's done well, but is it worth doing well? Topic for a different day. Nicholas, your thoughts?
I'm wildly against it.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yes. For several reasons. Kind of going with what you just said, that just sort of seems very tedious to have that.
Okay.
And you run the risk of people leaving, timing it, and I think biggest of all, that is going to interfere with the director's vision.
Okay. Kind of similar to what I was saying. Yeah, okay.
And I think that also, at least for me as a moviegoers, movies take me out of reality.
Yes.
Right? That is where I go to, not disassociate, because I am focused intently on the movie.
That's where I go to disassociate.
Yes. But, like, for example, I'll say this with, like, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
Right? My car broke down on the way to see that movie. I didn't think about my car once the entire time there. Walking into the theater, yes. Walking out of the theater after, yes. All I could think about.
Yeah.
If there was an intermission, I would have popped back into that and thought about that for the remaining half of the movie.
Yeah.
And I think also that, again, the vision, you run the risk. I don't think that I don't think concessions are going to see a spike either. you buy a drink, you can get a free refill. And yeah, that's an opportunity to do that, but you're not buying a new drink. You're refilling your popcorn. You're not buying more snacks. I think that the theaters are going to lose money because now they're sacrificing times where they could, if you collect all the intermissions for one day of Killers of the Flower Moon,
Interesting point you're bringing
you're
up.
losing a showtime.
Interesting point you're bringing up.
Yeah.
As someone who's worked at a movie theater,
Yeah.
you would absolutely make more money on
think so?
concessions. Yes, but that's
yeah.
just my perspective of working in one.
I guess I'm going as a film, as a film goer. When I run out of candy, I'm not like, oh, I need more candy. I'd like, oh no, that was the candy I got for the movie. It's done. I don't think I would buy more. I think I would be refilling maybe a soda or anything.
My perspective is, let's say your showtime's at 1:00.
Yeah.
Prime lunchtime. And you go in, and it's a 4.5 hour movie.
Mhm.
And your intermission is at like 3:30. You might not be dinner hungry, but you're going to want something.
That is true.
Basically, it's the chance to go out. And sometimes all people need is the chance, right? I would never leave in the middle of a movie to get concessions.
Yeah.
But if I had a chance to go get some and the movie was paused, like how many times do you pause a movie at home and go grab a snack? It's a...
But you have the ability to pause. Is the thing.
Yeah.
You can pause whenever. TV shows are typically an hour. You can pause it.
Yeah.
You can stop between a show. I actually pulled up, I was looking at some quotes from directors on the thoughts as well. Yes.
I want to see this.
So I'm going to use something Martin Scorsese said as well.
Okay, let's hear it.
And it's specifically in relation to Killers of the Flower Moon. This is a recent quote.
Okay.
He says, people say it's 3 hours, but come on, the director said. You can sit in front of the TV and watch something for 5. Also, there are many people who watch a play for 3.5 hours. They're real actors on stage. You can't get up and walk around. You give it that respect. Give cinema some respect. Now, I understand the sentiment of what he's saying.
And guess what plays have?
I disagree with what he's saying, though. I understand what he's trying to go for. But when you watch something on TV for 5 hours, you can pause.
Yes.
There are the breaks. Theaters, 3.5 hour plays, have an intermission.
Yes.
Yes.
But it's also designed for that intermission.
It's designed for the intermission. And I think that film is not a medium that should have that.
Okay. And I agree with you, but my whole thought process is, if your vision is like, I'm going to make a fucking 4-hour epic movie.
Yes.
Can part of that vision be building into the movie an intermission? I think it can.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
But, okay.
Do I think every movie should just have an intermission slapped into it? No.
No.
But I think if you make a movie with the intention of an intermission,
it
shouldn't stop you.
I'll use a director whose quotes that I actually do agree with here.
Okay, let's go.
There was another long movie that came out just this last year.
Fuck me up.
Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yep.
This
I'm so excited for what James Cameron's about.
And this was James Cameron's response when someone said, well, what about like a pee break or something? Yeah. When should they go? And he said, anytime they want. They can see the scene they missed when they come to see it again.
That's such a great fucking
And he goes
response.
on again. And again, he also brought up the people watch things for like on TV for 5 hours, but I don't think that is a good argument that they're making. I see what they're going for, but again, you can pause. I'm trying to find this other quote that he had that was really... Here we go. James Cameron also said, here's the big social paradigm shift that needs to happen. It's okay to get up and pee. And I just agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think that movies are designed in a way, and if you watch movies, if you see movies a lot, and just general social thing, you can sort of tell when there's a dip, right? Stories a lot of times have the same structure, right? There's Act 1, the bridge, Act 2, the bridge, the finale. And I think that there are times when you can see. Now, you think you should see a whole movie, but I think that watching a movie, you can sort of tell, like, okay, I think that this is going to be... Like, you can tell, okay, this is a good time for me to get up for a minute to go pee.
Yeah.
And come back and someone says, what happened? Mm-hmm. I mean, how many times when you're watching something, do you go to the bathroom and you lean over to the person next to you and you go, oh, what happened? You go, oh, nothing. They were just talking about, like, what to have for dinner.
Yeah.
Because you can sort of tell with the expression, the emotion, the way the story's being told.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is just a character scene. Like, we're not going to get a lot of development here.
Yeah. Counterpoint.
Okay.
The reason why they do the watch-at-home argument maybe not them specifically, but the reason why I think the watch at home argument works is because, they can pause. That's what an intermission is. You're pausing.
Yes.
And I think that some people just are mentally exhausted watching a movie, like a long movie. And I think if you take the average moviegoer and you sit them down like, this is a 4-hour movie, and then after 2 hours they took a break, and they could go like step outside, take fresh air, fucking cigarettes, call somebody and yell at them. I don't know. I'm just things I see at the theater, and go back in, and that mental refresh can, I think, get people back into watching those kind of movies. Whereas I don't think that movie gets seen at all.
Okay. Also, though, that is in favor of getting people back into the theaters. Now, let's say our group, for example, that goes to the theaters every Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was glued to the screen during Killers of the Flower Moon. I didn't want to get up and pee for any second of it.
Same.
And I honestly didn't even need to pee. That was just, I didn't really drink that much that day. I didn't feel that urge. For someone who doesn't want to pee, that just wants to watch the movie uninterrupted, who's probably a frequent moviegoer, are they going to be pissed off sitting there for 10, 15 minutes with nothing, you know what I mean?
Maybe, but I would argue if they're a frequent moviegoer,
Mm-hmm.
being upset that there's an intermission, they're still coming back next week.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a thing that's going to get them to stop coming.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted that opportunity to watch it all the way through, maybe there could be screenings that do that. Like, hey, this is an intermission-free screening. Or, on the DVD.
It just seems very convoluted.
Yeah, it is convoluted.
that
I
point.
agree.
Yeah.
But I also don't think every movie that comes out is going to be 4 hours. I think it's going to be like a situational thing. Like, if you're telling me, would you watch a 6-hour Avatar 3? Which I think there's a cut right now that's 8 hours. Mm-hmm. No. Would I watch it with an intermission? Yes, I would.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to be the difference for a lot of people.
I think if you're going to that extreme, yes. I think 3.5 hours is not that extreme to require an intermission.
Fair.
8
And
hours.
that line
8
is gonna
hours,
be
sure.
different.
Yes.
That line's going to be different for other people.
Yes.
But yes, I see what you're saying.
The line's there. Like, I don't think I like Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
You said there was a theatrical one that had an intermission.
Yeah.
Just play the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If
And
it's
honestly,
that,
I think
if it's that important, because the example with that one though, right? That was something that was day and date. It was select theaters.
Yeah.
It wasn't available wide.
Yeah.
But it was day and date. So if you really need to see that movie on the big screen and you really need to pee, go pee, and then watch what you missed at home. You can pull it up on your phone in the bathroom and keep playing along.
Here's an argument I'm going to give you and myself.
Uh-huh.
The reason for intermissions a lot of the time back in the day was because of the size of the film reels.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to switch them out. And after a certain period of time, it was going to take a minute to switch it out.
Okay.
So that's where the intermissions came in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was the case. I don't think it was showed on film. Zack Snyder Justice League, it might have been. I don't know. But I think now that's not a problem with digital projection.
Yeah.
And unless you want to watch a movie on 70. But I think if the film reel was any bigger on Oppenheimer, they would have had to have had an intermission because that bitch barely fit.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things.
And 30 minutes less than Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes. Yes. And if Killers of the Flower Moon had a 70, it probably would have to have an intermission.
Yes.
So it's just one of those things also. Yeah. But I think now that we have the power intermission's been to our will now. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a unique opportunity. That's all I'm saying. And also I want to point out the last film that was released wide, not counting re-releases of other films, was Gandhi back in 1982. And it won Best Picture.
And how long was Gandhi?
Great question. 3 hours and 11 minutes.
Weak shit. Unnecessary. I think if you're going to have an intermission, your movie needs to be minimum 4 hours. That's where I'll concede.
That's where you draw the line?
That's where my line would be.
And listen, I don't disagree with you. But I know some people that were like, I love an intermission after like 40 minutes.
And I think, though, like, it's retention, too. I think if your movie's not great, people might just leave.
Yeah.
Which is the risk you're gonna take.
Yeah.
And I think that could also cause flaws in rating systems.
Maybe, yeah.
Because the people that stick around, if they get caught in that score, it's gonna be great.
Oh, and if I was the theater, you ain't getting no fucking refunds if you leave during intermission.
Exactly.
Ain't no goddamn
That's gonna
way.
cause so much fight.
It won't.
No.
Like, if as long as you make it a point beforehand, it won't.
I think ultimately where I lie is I side with James Cameron. It's okay to get up and pee. Or in modern slang, go piss, girl.
I am of the mind, as a moviegoer, I don't mind. I can probably watch up to 4.5 if it's really good.
I think an intermission would just anger me. I'll be honest. I think that there would be a period where there's that adaptation.
I think it depends.
Yes.
Like an intermission could upset me, but I don't think it always will or always won't.
I think 4 hours and 2 hours in, I could see that's where I think my personal line draws. I don't see the point of an intermission in something like Killers of the Flower Moon or Oppenheimer. Again, unless you are specifically at a massive 70 millimeter release where it dictates it. But if you're watching a digital screening, no.
Fair. What do you guys think about intermissions? Should they make a comeback? What are the points that would make you want to have an intermission or not have one? Thank you for that discussion. I thought that was interesting.
That was a good one.
And again, just let us know what you think in the comments below. As we move on to the B-roll section of our show, what's that? It's an extension of the movie news section of our show, but we just had only time to bring you kind of the headlines of what's going on. Don't have time to do a deep dive. Nicholas, what's first up on the B-roll?
First B-roll, a group of A-list actors led by George Clooney presented a proposal to SAG-AFTRA leadership during a Tuesday afternoon Zoom call in an effort to find a way to resolve the 3-month-old actors' strike with the studios. But the proposal is very likely dead on arrival.
Yeah, so essentially during the last week, and like we said, as you're watching this today, they're meeting, SAG and AMPTP are meeting again.
Yes.
But some A-listers, including George Clooney, Tyler Perry, Scarlett Johansson, a few other people I'm leaving off, they met with SAG to be like, hey, here's an idea, and like presented a deal that they could present. And SAG denied it, basically saying like a lot of it's a good idea, but they're not really in the room for the intricacies of where we're at. And so to them, they felt a bit like, we understand you're frustrated, but like, let us do our thing is kind of how it came across. But some stuff in it was a good idea that I think they might incorporate. Like the one that I thought was a good idea was they said the residual should work from the bottom up. And say if it's a percentage and the percentage has a chance of running out, start with the people at the bottom of the cash sheet and work their way up to who gets the residuals first. And if you run out, the people who got paid a lot up front don't have to worry about it, but the people who don't have that residual. And basically that involved putting like, because right now SAG dues are capped at a certain price, and these A-listers were saying, we don't mind putting in more if you want to remove that cap. And that was more kind of just specific to SAG. So it was just like, thanks, not what are we doing right now was kind of the whole point. Yeah. I see where the A-listers are coming from because I'm also frustrated with the strike, but I also see where SAG is coming from of like, just let us do our thing. So I think maybe after the strike's over, we might see some resolve to things like that. But I thought it was interesting to point out.
Yeah, no,
and what is the final B-roll we have for us?
Our final B-roll story. Almost 30 years after first appearing as an animated television series, Gargoyles is taking flight once more, but this time in live action. 2 major names in the creature feature business, Gary Dauberman and James Wan, known for their collaborations on the hit Annabelle horror movies, have teamed up to remake the cartoon as a live action series for Disney+.
There are no fucking words for how excited I am about this. I am so fucking amped about this. You have no idea.
James Wan's Gargoyles is something I never thought would happen, nor something I thought I needed, but fucking inject that into my veins.
Immediately. And I think this is going to do something that I'm hoping that the Five Nights at Freddy's movies does. Which is just be a gateway for kids in horror. Because, with horror for kids, it's a line you gotta ride. But I think it can be done, especially with someone like James Wan. I think he's capable.
I mean, I thought Eli Roth did a great job with House with the Clock in its Walls.
Yeah.
Show's over, folks. Thanks for tuning. No, kidding, Dalton.
Listen, I would have committed. I would have done the whole rest of the show silent. I just want you to know.
Nick's doing the box office today. Let's see what fucking happens.
Yeah, no, but I thought it was good. But I think you can go a little bit darker than that too, which I think is what they're gonna do, depending how much Disney allows. Yeah. With that, we'll do the B-roll section of the show, guys. Thank you very much. And now it's time to move on to the box office.
The box office.
And Nicholas, do you have our predictions?
I do. Dalton, you had Killers of the Flower Moon, Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, Exorcist Believer, Paw Patrol, The Mighty Movie, and Saw X. I had Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, Killers of the Flower Moon, Exorcist Believer, Paw Patrol, The Mighty Movie, and Saw X.
You were this close.
I've been one off for the past 3 weeks, and it's getting annoying.
And
I've never gotten it right.
honestly, no one would have predicted what happened.
I've never gotten it right.
So I think you have before once.
I don't think so.
It'll happen. Cheer for Nick, guys.
Come on, guys.
Um,
I really need this.
So I'm also going to have it show up on the video as well for those joining along. I predicted Killers of the Flower Moon would make 50. It didn't. But I was decently right about Taylor Swift, but it still came in number 1.
Okay.
Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, made $31 million in week 2, dropping 67%. Killers of the Flower Moon made $23 million in its opening domestically. Exorcist Believer came in third with $5.6 million, dropping another 49% from week 2 to week 3. Paw Patrol the Mighty Movie came in fourth, making another $4.4 million in week 4. Coming in fifth, the re-release of The Nightmare Before Christmas.
What?
How fucking dope is that, dude?
Good for them.
And it made $4.1 million.
I have a very important question to ask. My 5th was Saw X. Is that number 6?
Yes.
How close were they?
Saw X made 3.5.
Oh, so not even close.
I mean, relative. But
Relative.
yeah.
I thought it was going to be like 4.
No. But okay,
Damn.
but something that made me laugh.
Yeah.
How it lists it on the numbers website is at the very end. It says what week of release it's in, and for Nightmare Before Christmas, it says 1,567
It's up 30%
from the last
from
week.
the last week.
That's so funny.
Holy shit. We'll talk about a wrench.
Yeah, but hey, I'm not mad about it.
Not at all.
I'm glad that people went out to see it. But let's dive in more, shall we?
Yeah.
Taylor Swift The Eras Tour now has $142 million worldwide. That's a major win. And Christopher Nolan actually gave, I don't know if you heard this, Christopher Nolan was talking about this, and he said, this is fucking great that this is happening. And they were like, why? And he's like, because they're showing the studios people still want to go to the goddamn theater if they just give them something they want.
But
Of course,
the
I'm paraphrasing.
But the studios, of course, will take, this means more concerts.
Yes, of course, that's going to be the
Which is
lesson.
the wrong lesson
Yeah.
to take.
Now, I think that artists should take that they want more concerts. That would be great, because I think Beyonce's independently doing one, too, at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'd be curious how that does compared to
Me too.
Taylor Swift. Yeah.
Me too. Killers of the Flower Moon, worldwide, I believe it's not updated on here, but I saw on, I think, Deadline, or one of the trades, that it worldwide has 44 million right now.
Okay.
Domestically, it's at 23. The production budget was $200 million. So, it's got to climb. But
it was an Apple movie.
it's an Apple movie, but at the same time, other than the Marvels, with Dune out, this could be in the top 5 until the end of the year. Honest to God, would not shock me, because you see that with Scorsese movies a lot anyway. Just not even necessarily good drops, but just sticking in that top 5.
So do you think that with Killers of the Flower Moon, we could have sort of like an Oppenheimer, where it's just going to consistently just plateau and just keep making 10, 10, 10, 10?
Potentially.
But here's the thing. Oppenheimer's opening blew this out of the
higher.
water.
Yes. I think the 3.5 is what's doing it,
Yeah.
but I think the longer it stays in theater, word of mouth is still the best way of marketing.
Yeah.
I think there are going to be people who think they didn't want to see it, but have heard such good things by week 3, week 4. They're like, fuck it. And like, by the way, if this can stay in the top 5 until Thanksgiving, I think it'll be fine. But that's a tough ask. That's about a month.
We have, Five Nights at Freddy's, which I think will do well.
It will.
With the audience, the Marvels, and when's Poor Things? Is that December or November? Okay. Yeah, it has a good shot, I think, definitely.
I think if it can stay within the 20s or even the 15s for a couple weeks in a row, that's a good sign for them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So the story here is going to be how it does in the coming weeks. The Exorcist Believer now has a worldwide total of $107 million. So far, it's made 3.6 times the budget, but there's also that $400 million price tag for the franchise rights. I think they want to make it about 150. I mean, they're happy with this number, especially considering how panned critically it was. They're going to be happy with this number. But if I were them, I'd want it to just get to 150. So that way, if each movie made 150, there's a lot of profit at the end of the day. But yeah, I would be happy with this sum if I was them, especially given the critical response.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Paw Patrol the Mighty Movie just keeps crushing it, dude. 132 million worldwide now, which is 4.4 times the budget. Cuckoo Bananas stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And It's one of the best profitable animated movies of the year, I think. It's doing quite well.
Now, what I'd be curious... Oh, no, never mind. Ignore my statement. I was going to say, do you think that'll give it kind of a precursor to the Oscars? Spider-Verse came out this year.
Yeah.
Ignore me. I don't know why that just blanked my mind.
It's all good.
Imagine a Paw Patrol movie winning an Oscar for animated.
I mean, listen, we've seen Stranger Things.
What does that show have to do with this?
All right, that was fucking funny. I'll give you that. That was good. I'll give you that. Something else I want to do. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Its new worldwide total is 77 million. Way to go.
Congratulations to Tim Burton and all involved.
Yes. The creator has hit 90 million worldwide. It came in 7th this past week. 1.1 times that production budget. Shame, but it happens. Saw X is the last one I'll do for now. $74 million. 5.7 times that budget. I lied. I'm going to do Haunting in Venice because I think that's funny. And it 104 million. It cost 100.
There you go.
There you go.
Good job.
And lastly, I'm sorry, one more. Coming in 10th this week was a re-release of Hocus Pocus. New total is 49 million.
I love these re-releases.
That is fantastic.
Oh, man. Predictions?
Before we get into predictions, there's one
Yes.
thing I'm going to talk about.
Go on.
Cinema score.
Okay.
Because typically, cinema score has a good indication of how your movie is going to do box office-wise, with some rare exceptions. One exception being this year, actually, with Gran Turismo, getting an A cinema score and just not doing well after that.
No money.
Yeah, which is a rarity
Yeah.
that happens. And I'll say it, I really like the movie.
I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it.
Really liked it a lot. But just moving on from that, Killers of the Flower Moon, A- cinema score, which could help in the traditional sense, unless we have another Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Should help its box office going forward. But it led to another discussion, which we briefly brought up on our movie review for this. The cinema scores for Martin Scorsese's films are baffling.
Oh, yeah. Do you have the image?
I can get it.
Oh, I have it. It's on the...
Okay, yes. Take a look at the screen now, everybody. Here are the cinema scores for several Martin Scorsese films. The Wolf of Wall Street, C. Shutter Island, C+. The Aviator, B+. Cape Fear, B+. Bringing Out the Dead, C-. Look at this. Wolf of Wall Street with a C. Shutter Island with a C+.
I know.
That is crazy. Shutter Island is his most slept-on movie. I'll say it. I fucking love Shutter Island.
Are any of these, looking, I guess, more specifically at, like, Wolf of Wall Street and Shutter Island, are those, like, in the top, like, 250 on the Letterboxd list? You know how they have
I don't
that
know.
list? I'm gonna
Yeah,
check that.
do
I'd
that.
be curious.
I'm also going to look at their box offices.
What's this guy's name? Martin Scorsese.
Fuck.
Oh, wait, that's not even the list I need.
So, Shutter Island. Talk about crazy shit with cinema score. C+ cinema score made $299 million worldwide on a budget of 80. So that's 3.7 times that budget.
Damn.
Now let's do Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him on here.
No?
I mean, there's a lot of Scorsese. Like, I'm seeing Raging Bull. I saw Goodfellas on
Do
there.
you have a list of just the top?
It's the top 250. King of Comedy.
Okay.
That was Scorsese, right? King of Comedy?
All right, Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
$389 million worldwide on a budget of 100.
Wild.
Crazy cinema score stuff. I don't know what was going on there. Honestly, I would love, if anyone wants to make a documentary about this, I'm far too lazy. I would love to see general attitudes of morality and religion versus cinema score. I think that's a great discussion. Because I have a fun feeling that Wolf of Wall Street came out, and when it opened with Leo doing coke out of a hooker's asshole, some people just immediately were like,
Don't know
not
about
for
this
me.
one. And
I
others
don't
were
think
like,
Jesus
cinema.
wanted me to see this. So,
You know, that I guess that's fair. Scorsese, I mean, I don't know if that's correlated, but Scorsese does tend to not necessarily see the good in people.
in people, what? No, what Scorsese does
That's
is,
my film school analysis of Scorsese. I
No.
think that guy doesn't like people.
I think he sees the good in people, but he does that by showing you bad people.
That is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite the funny thing. Also, you mentioned King of Comedy earlier. someone should make a supercut of this, but every time King of Comedy gets brought up to Martin Scorsese, he says, yeah, and he says the exact news station. I forget what it was. He goes, yeah, and they said it was the flop of the year when it came out. Like, he has like a 40-year beef with this like news station, and every time it gets brought up, he mentions it. It's so funny.
I have only now I'm on my letterbox looking at this. I have not seen that many Scorsese movies.
Jesus Christ.
Or I guess I should say I haven't seen the big ones. Right? So I have not seen.
Oh no.
Yeah, let me do what I haven't seen.
Oh Christ.
I've not seen Shutter Island. I've not seen Raging Bull.
Oh, Nicholas.
I have not seen Casino. I've not seen King of Comedy. I have not seen Gangs of New York, After Hours, Aviator Silence, Cape Fear, Bringing Out the Dead, which is a surprising one because that is Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Here's what I'll give you. I have not seen Gangs of New York, and I have not seen Mean Streets.
But I have seen the bad music video by Michael Jackson.
Fantastic.
But that being said, I love Mean Streets. I love Killers of the Flower Moon. I love Hugo. I love I don't love The Irishman, actually.
Goodfellas.
I like The Departed. I love The Departed. That Departed is actually probably my favorite.
Taxi Driver?
Departed.
Damn. All right. By the way, here's some fun controversy. I think Casino is a better movie than Goodfellas.
I've never seen Casino.
I have it on 4K. This is where the physical media comes in play. Another intermission starting right now.
Oh, man.
But yeah, that's the box office, guys, this past week. And let's do our predictions now.
Yes. So next week we've got Five Nights at Freddy's, or FNAF for the fans.
FNAF.
Have you seen the new FNAF trailer?
Why did you do that as Mark Ruffalo? I hated every second of that.
Because I can't do Jack Black, and that's what I was quoting. Skadoosh.
Right. He did say that.
Five Nights at Freddy's, that's where I want to be. Is that all we got coming out, or are there any other re-releases that I need to be concerned with?
I'm pulling it up. Ooh, Anatomy of a Fall comes out. But I don't know if it's wide. That was a festival movie that did really well.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I think FNAF is going to be the only... Nightmare Before Christmas is still out, if you want to...
Take that into consideration.
Yes.
Okay.
My predictions.
Yes.
I don't think Day and Date's going to hurt FNAF all that much. I'm going to go Killers... I'm sorry. Five Nights at Freddy's number 1.
Five Nights at Freddy's. Good.
I'm going to try to will this into existence. Killers of the Flower Moon number 2.
Okay.
Taylor Swift number 3. Exorcist Believer number 4. Paw Patrol number 5.
Crap, you stole what I was going to do. And that's not fun. So, FNAF.
You can do the same one if you want.
Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour. Killers of the Flower Moon. Exorcist. Paw.
We're really not considering Nightmare Before Christmas making a hell of a comeback.
You know what?
I think
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it actually.
Hey, listen, I think the closer to Halloween you get...
Yep, nope, that's where I'm going. I'm gonna go FNAF, Taylor Swift, Flower Moon, Exorcist, Nightmare.
Damn. Let's see what happens.
I'm gonna be so wrong.
If watch you be wrong by, like, you flip Taylor Swift and Martin.
Yeah.
Like, but you got the Nightmare one right. That'd be so aggravating.
Them's the breaks.
Them's the breaks.
Put your predictions down in the comments below.
Yes, please do. We'd love to see them. And if you're right, we'll shout you out on the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Dalton Burdett.
I've been Nick Ericchio.
See you on the next one.